Kinsley's nightmare began with a visit to her father. What was supposed to be a short visit turned into weeks. A Detroit father, Charles Evans, is now facing charges in connection with the death of his 9-month-old daughter, Kinsley. The heartbreaking news comes nearly 9 months after Kinsley tragically passed away. Kinsley, a bright and beautiful 9-month-old, was tragically taken from her family. Her father, Charles Evans, is now facing charges of felony murder and first-degree child abuse. According to the family's account, Evans was granted a visit with Kinsley on Memorial Day 2023 but never returned her. Despite desperate efforts by Kinsley's family, including contacting police, child protective services, and petitioning the courts, Kinsley remained with Evans. A beautiful child with bright eyes and a radiant smile had her life tragically cut short at just 9 months old. This heartbreaking story highlights the devastating consequences of alleged child abuse and failures within the child protection system.
CPS, they never even came out. Take matters in your own hands, because if you're waiting on the justice system, they cannot do anything in these matters.
Kinsley could have lit up the world. It's heartbreaking and incomprehensible why anyone would harm such an innocent child. A later autopsy revealed signs of abuse on Kinsley's body. Kinsley's tiny body bore the marks of unimaginable abuse, bruises, broken ribs, and according to the family, even a puncture wound.
Trauma to the head, and she got punctured with something in her knee, fracture skull, broken ribs. She was abused.
Heartbreaking and incomprehensible why anyone would harm such an innocent child. Police were called to the residence on Schaefer Highway, and the investigation is ongoing. An autopsy confirmed their worst fears. Wayne County prosecutor expressed outrage, stating that the extent of the injuries inflicted on the young child was unimaginable. This beautiful child's light has been extinguished far too soon. We await the official cause of death, but the pain of this loss is already immense. Evans is now charged with felony murder and first-degree child abuse. This case highlights the importance of protecting vulnerable children and ensuring a swift and thorough response to concerns about their well-being. Kinsley's mother briefly allowed her father, Charles Evans, visitation rights. This decision, filled with regret later, would turn into a nightmare. According to Nelson, they have repeatedly contacted the police and filed a court petition to regain custody of their child, but have been unsuccessful.
Nobody was locked up for Kinsley's death until now.
Nelson claims they attempted to retrieve the child themselves and are now facing potential arrests by the police. Police confirm they responded to a welfare check at the address earlier this month. The baby appeared healthy at the time. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is now investigating the situation. Her family believes the child welfare system failed to protect her. A child protective services supervisor involved in Kinsley's case has been fired. Kinsley's grandmother, Asia Nelson, stated that Kinsley's mother briefly allowed the baby's father visitation rights, a decision the family now regrets.
My daughter had let her go with her father for a couple of hours. We came back to pick her up. He wouldn't give her to us.
The visit extended beyond the planned time frame, and Kinsley died while in her father's care. Kinsley's family has started a GoFundMe account to help pay for funeral expenses. A family still grieving the tragic death of an infant is hoping to get justice. Her father is now facing charges, 9 long months after she died with signs of abuse. According to Nelson, people don't even know the mental part of it.
People just don't know the mental part of it. Like, I can't even walk through a baby section in a store without breaking down in public.
3 agonizing weeks passed before tragedy struck. An officer arrived with horrifying news. Kinsley, entrusted to Charles Evans' care, had been pronounced dead. A critical error in judgment further marred the situation surrounding Kinsley's case. A child protective services supervisor involved with Kinsley was placed on leave, but no charges were filed. This lack of accountability added to the family's grief. Finally, a glimmer of justice. Charles Evans now faces charges of felony murder and first-degree child abuse. Additionally, The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services confirmed the termination of the CPS supervisor involved. However, this comes at a heartbreaking cost. The family is left to mourn the loss of their precious Kinsley. No amount of punishment can erase the pain of her absence. Her mom and family say that they were fighting for her life. Her family repeated attempts to contact CPS for updates on the supervisor's status, but they received no response. The family petitioned the courts and even contacted the Department of Corrections to investigate potential probation violations against Kinsley's father. The planned short visit was extended for weeks, and Kinsley never returned home. Desperate to get their daughter back, Kinsley's family pleaded with Evans, including her grandmother Asia Nelson and Aunt Joke. Their pleas went unanswered, forcing them to involve the authorities. A critical error in judgment further marred the situation. A CPS supervisor involved with Kinsley's case was placed on administrative leave. Despite contacting the Detroit Police and Children's Protective Services, CPS, Kinsley's family alleges they were told the child was safe, and intervention wasn't possible. This lack of action left them feeling helpless and frustrated. While no punishment can bring Kinsley back, charges against Evans offer a sense of justice. Kinsley's case sheds light on the importance of protecting vulnerable children and ensuring a swift and thorough response to concerns. Tragically, Kinsley's short life ended at just 9 months. Her family later learned she endured unimaginable abuse in her final days.
My officer called us and said that we need to rush down to Sinai Grace. Kinsley has been pronounced dead. Trauma to the head, and she got punctured with something in her knee, broken ribs. She was abused.
The Detroit Police Department offered condolences to the family and acknowledged the situation's severity. While their records on the incident were inconclusive, they pledged to launch a full investigation to understand what transpired. However, this came at a devastating cost: the loss of their precious Kinsley. While authorities initially missed the signs of abuse, the family vehemently maintains they fought tirelessly for Kinsley's life. They reported concerns to the police, contacted CPS for welfare checks, petitioned the courts for custody, and even contacted the Department of Corrections to investigate potential probation violations against the father. The family further alleges that a police welfare check failed to identify the abuse. However, the Detroit Police Department offered condolences and pledged a full investigation.
Screamed for help over and over. I did it the right way. We did it the right way.